Thank goodness.
Welcome to the HEX Late Show. It's 43 OG here with you for another week of our thoughts and feelings about HEX and the HEX ecosystem. I've got the guys out the back. Let me bring them up. Tangent,
Yo.
What's going on?
Yo, sick intro, man.
Hey,
Jexa,
how are you fellas?
What's going on? Bluey, what's happening?
Hey guys.
I really like that intro. Good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I love the intro. I reckon it's the best one
well.
out of all the HEX streamers. Did you put that together, 43?
Yeah, thanks to HEX memes. I just went into HEX memes and just found all the just downloaded all these memes and just threw them all together. It was like super easy to do.
I'll tell you another one I like, but it's kind of like cheating. Crypto 7 uses footage from the HEX and Pulse race cars as his intro stuff. And because I'm such a car enthusiast, for me, that's like epic intro. So it's like, you know, he'll use the latest, whatever the latest footage is from those cars, like racing around. And
why not? I mean, we've got all this marketing material. We should be using it. Like, we should definitely be putting it out there.
My favorite is the HEX Asians outro. That's a cracking song. It's just like Indian dude kind of singing.
I've got to admit,
the subtitles, and the subtitles are hilarious.
I've got to admit, I've rarely ever watched their show. I'll have to find out.
Oh, their show is awesome. It's unique. There is no other show like it. It is completely original.
I got to the stage where I was totally overwhelmed with the amount of content. I was like, I threw my hands up in the air. I can't keep on top of it all. But you have to go check it out.
That's how I feel about.
Actually does a similar one where in the middle of their videos, they've just got this guy on like a bongo drum, and he's like, I
know. Where did that come from? That meme kind of went hot for a good while, didn't it?
I know what you're saying, Jexa, with the feeling overwhelmed. I feel the same way about all the stuff to do with crypto and HEX in the ecosystem. All the stuff you can possibly be doing, all the buttons that you need to click. Yep. God damn it, so many buttons you need to click.
Between
get to work, you little click monkeys.
Man. I go out on the streets and click this button. Clap, clap. Yo, I tweeted out today. I think this is a very important point. In my opinion, and I'm sure Richard agrees with me, HEX is the Schelling point. You may or may not have heard Richard describe or explain the definition of what a Schelling point is in the past. I'm not going to bore you guys with it now. If you don't know what it is, go and look it up. I believe that HEX is the Schelling point. Everyone, or lots of people, have run off and done all this other different shit, and it's on a variant spectrum of like being legitimately related to HEX through to like loosely related to HEX that it's not really, right through to outright scams, right? Like there's the full spectrum of what people have gone and involved themselves with, either deliberately or accidentally. I believe that HEX will be the Schelling point, where that's where everyone will come back to when there is that uncertainty of what will have value on PulseChain.
Or do you think that's where... Sorry, you go, Blue.
Well, I know for myself that, like, especially with all of the derivatives and like with Hadron and with like COSA and with all the Maxi and all of those other perpetuals, like, I always use HEX as my basis. And I try to increase my position in HEX. So I don't worry about USD price of all of those things. I always think, I'm always swapping between HEX and one of those things anyway. That's what I'm trading, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm not the kind of person who likes to kind of take big risks on USD or something like that. I don't know. I don't like to hold it too much.
Yeah, I think there's good reasons to hold it, especially like when you're in uncertain times like we are now. We haven't got a clear direction either way in the market. It makes sense to have a little bit of dry powder sitting there. But I think the reason why we got into HEX in the first place was because it was a store of value and somewhere where you felt you could comfortably put your funds and grow your bag there. And I think, like what you're saying, Tangent, I think that's what will happen if people want to take their money and maybe they've got some gains in something else. What do you do with it? Well, if we're in a market that's trending up, the last place you want to have it is sitting in the US dollar, which is at some point that's going to top out. So you won't want to be putting it in there. So where do you put it? That's a nice safe way to put it and continue to grow it as well. So I think you're right. It will be that.
The only good tactic that I've heard of with like a stable coin, especially in particular for the fork, I think I mentioned this before, is that sorry, I just lost my train of thought there.
So with the stable coins, so I can tell you what. You go.
Yeah, so what you could do is, instead of buying HEX and waiting for the fork and hoping that the value of them both combined is greater than what you had in the first place, and then if you wanted to get into your PulseX or your whatever you go from HEX, there's a lot of things that can not work out there how you expect it, and having a big pile of USDC at the fork, even though you're not going to get any copies of that, you could then take that USD and take it over to that chain in whichever way that the people are doing it safely. And if that's a bridge, you might want to know that that's a risk at the moment with all bridges. And but then you will have that economic energy, and it's a bit more of a safer way of knowing rather than the speculative. I mean, it's all speculative, really. Anyway,
yeah. So I can talk about the play that I done on the ETH fork, and I tried to do it on ETH Fair as well. Keen
to hear.
And it didn't work, and it wasn't anything super intelligent. It was just using the US stable coins that I had and swapping those into HEX. And in one instance, I was over there early enough on ETH, worked out brilliantly, got a nice bag of HEX, and then that rocketed up as well. So that was dumb luck, really. It was just being over there quick enough and the pool still being full enough to be able to take what I could out of that stable coin before it was zero.
I wouldn't call it full dumb luck, though. You had a logical thesis, and that was that stable coins would be likely to lose most, if not all, of their value. So you may as well be in something that happens to have a better chance of retaining value.
Yeah, and you had to be. But that was more about speed.
I think more what you mean is that you got quite lucky with the timing of it, or that think stars aligned. There was a luck element.
Yeah, and to be honest, like over in Oz, we were asleep when the actual fork happened. So I was like 12 hours late for the fork or something. So it wasn't like I was over super early. On ETH Fair, I held off going on over there. There was a little bit more risk involved in that one. Didn't seem like it was getting as heavily supported. So I waited, I don't know how many more days it was. It could have been a week more. Total different scenario over there. Tried to do the same. No value at all in those pools already. So people move pretty quick. Will that happen again on PulseChain? Probably not, or you'd have to be super quick because everyone in the community is smart. They know what's going on with it. They know how to move funds between the chains. They know what's likely to happen over there. So, and I mentioned this last week, Tangent, whatever happened on ETHW, don't expect it to play out the same on PulseChain, because different community, different level of expertise in terms of the products on there.
Yes. Like there's some sort of like lessons or logic that you can kind of like apply, but not directly.
Yeah, so I think there
was a nice interview with Ivan on Tech. So sorry, were you?
No, keep going. Yeah, we'll come back to other things.
No, that's cool. Yeah, go ahead.
There was an interview with Ivan on Tech. So, I haven't been keeping up with Ivan on Tech, and then I checked his YouTube channel. He hasn't been producing much content.
That's right. He stopped doing he was doing crypto in the morning every day, and then he stopped doing that when they launched. He launched like Morales, which is not a crypto, by the way. It's like an educational platform for developers. And I think he put all of his focus in that, whereas him and his business partner used to be split, where the other guy was doing all the back end shit and he was just basically doing the promotional videos every day stuff. I think they both went deep on that side of it.
I just think his bags must be so heavy that he just hasn't got time to edit videos and do shit.
Of
like
what?
He must have
bags of what? Oh yeah.
Bags of just crypto bags. Like after the last, after 69.
You have no idea. You have no idea. Who knows what he gets up to in his private changing and trying
I can tell you some insight is that he got caught for the same shit that all the other influencers get caught for, in terms of like he got caught out. He was announcing he used to have this list where he would like announce 5 gems of fucking week or something. Don't quote me on the exact stats, but he had like a release, like he would release new projects that he thought were gems. And someone looked at the on-chain and saw that someone was buying a shitload of it before the shit would get released and then dumping it immediately after. Classic, right? Like you know what's going on. He's definitely doing it, right? So even though you can't prove the wallet's his, it's obvious. And I highlighted this at the time because it was around similar timing to like Alex getting wrecked and like disappearing from crypto forever after Richard Hart just absolutely destroyed his reputation. Ivan took the opposite part of Alex. Rather than running off and hiding, he literally just drove the narrative. He came on his show every morning, Good Morning Crypto, I think the name of it was, and he pretended like none of that shit was happening. On Twitter, the only response he gave it was, someone in the team must have accidentally leaked the list. So like effectively like third party, like someone leaked it, then someone got their hands on it, then that person must have exploited it. So far away from me that like as an excuse, drove that narrative, never apologized, never addressed it ever again, let everyone do like their hater voices and shit like that, just ignored it until it went away. Right. So I'm not saying that what he did was good from an ethical standpoint. And obviously there's a heavy assumption in here that it was him or someone close to him who was the person who was doing the like pump and dump shit. But the point is that how he handled it was correct. Like in terms of if you care about your like public reputation, is you ghost on haters, you don't give rumors and accusations any oxygen. So I think it's an excellent example of how to handle like accusations and hate. Unfortunately, in that case, it was theoretically unethical what he was doing, but you could do it if you were ever in an ethical situation where you're like Russell Brand or you're Joe Rogan or you're someone who speaks truth to power, and there's like a group of people who are attacking you, you could just use those tactics for good.
I think that's the standard business model for influencers, isn't it? Like they've all been caught doing this. Who was it recently? Lark, was it? Or
Sorry. I just have to add one more piece. The meme that went around was just a bug, bro. I don't know if any of you remember that, but it was basically a picture of Ivan and the text, just a bug, bro. Because the narrative that he gave was it was a bug on their system that allowed the list to leak before it got published publicly.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, just a bug, bro. Just a bug, bro. Like whenever anything would go wrong in crypto around that period of time, just a bug, bro. The just a bug, bro meme of Ivan on Tech would get like smashed onto that shit. It's basically like a universal excuse for anything.
So let's just have a look at a clip from that interview.
I called the top on the day. Like anyone that's wrecked after I called the top on the day, you're just like, what can I do for you? I guess wait for I call the bottom, which, hey, they stop raising interest rates. Could be anytime soon, you know? As soon as they stop raising interest rates, we're going to the moon. It's that easy.
Hell yeah.
It needs to be like a real stop, not like a pause.
Hell yes.
That's as close to, you know, a forward-looking prediction in the crypto wise.
Crypto sector wise, yeah.
You know,
so he wasn't giving a forward-looking. No? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was just the whole sector moving up.
So that's what we need to be looking at, guys. We need to be looking at what are they doing with
more of an if-then statement, right? It's like saying if this happens, then it's likely that this will happen.
Yeah. And then there was one.
It's not that it wasn't. Yeah. I mean, it's not the
go on.
most new. I mean, there's loads of people who would be saying that. That's not like going against the herd.
It's not earth shattering. Yeah.
If it's a Netflix original, cool. But as long as it gets views, cool. It's out of my control. Like I can't. Nothing I can do about it. But these guys are smart, man. They're Emmy Award winning. So like, if you've seen the previews, they're really good. I mean, I've seen the whole film. It's good, man. And I got high standards. And having me in a movie sucks because I suck. But like the movie's still amazing. So like these guys did a great job. Hey, look, fat old guy spends his money. No, that wouldn't make a good film. So these guys did a great job not making it that movie.
Yeah, and how is your weight loss? I remember you posted a lot about.
Is that the kind of stream it is? We're just gonna stab me in the heart right here.
No. I have the same problem. I have the same problem.
In the heart, stabbed in the heart. I love it.
That clip made me laugh. That made me laugh because it's actually, you know, we see he can be very harsh in what you see on Twitter or some of his comments, but when you see stuff like that, you see the human side of Richard Hart, and I thought that was very funny.
Wait, at the risk of sounding like I'm shilling Crypto 7 a lot, Crypto 7 actually has a video where he goes through and watches almost the whole thing or skips to different spots and makes comments about sort of interpreting what Richard is saying, reading between the lines and trying to give the interpretation to what he believes that Richard wants to say but can't for various reasons, including SEC bullshit and shit like that. So I think for anyone who hasn't seen that video is worth watching.
Actually, can I ask you guys a question? Because the whole thing like of changing over to forking Ethereum as opposed to BSC, like I just thought like whatever, okay, no big deal. Like go for the better one. That's such a no-brainer. And then everyone kicked up this massive fuss, and I was really curious. Like I didn't quite understand what the big thing was. But I'm just also like now I'm kind of going, is it still going to be a delegated proof of stake? Or are they going to turn Ethereum into a delegated proof of stake? So it's going to be literally like Ethereum, like where there'll be thousands of miners, thousands of validators, and validating pool. Well, we won't need pools though, will we? Because everyone can.
We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, man. We don't know. We don't know if it's going to be 32 pulse. We don't know if it's going to be 32 pulse to be.
Oh, that'd be crazy. Well, you could just run it up on your laptop if you wanted to do that, couldn't you?
So
because you wouldn't be.
But you'll get outweighed.
Yeah, the general takeaway was we're going to change. This is how I interpret it. We're going to change as little amount as possible, and we can tweak things along the way. There was a couple of mentions about maybe gas improvements and maybe timing. It sounded like Richard didn't want to even change the 32 requirement, but I think that's crazy if he doesn't. I think after someone
a million
posted,
times,
someone posted a link on Twitter, and I don't know whether it was one of you guys or someone else, and they went through the technical reason why 32 was chosen. And there is a legitimate mathematical reason why it was chosen.
Interesting.
So yeah,
and it had to do with the Ethereum, the percentage of that 32 ETH out of the Ethereum supply or something, or
yeah, it was. I'll screw it up if I try and explain it, but it's yeah, I won't even go into the details of it because I don't understand it well enough. It was when Vitalik talks about this stuff, it's next level, man. Like he's speaking another language. But it's something to do with slots or something. So it allocates so many slots, and if and that's just seemed to be the magic figure where it was this nice balancing point. So I think we are going to need to change
balancing between what?
Like available validators, and apparently the validator pool, it gets carved up into smaller groups, and those groups need to be able to communicate and then communicate between each group when it's doing all the processing. And this, if you have too many validators, that processing is too much overhead, and it'll cause reorgs and things like that, is my understanding. So you've got to bring that pool down to a more manageable number where it sort of balances the system a bit, loosely speaking. Like I said, it's very deep on the technical.
What I personally took away from what he said was he definitely does not want to do anything that would prevent the ability to adopt future improvements on Ethereum proof of stake to be able to be easily integrated into PulseChain. So I think he's willing to tweak parameters, because he did mention that there would literally be some changes that they were already looking at, like block stuff that would just like scaling improvement shit, like layer 1 scaling stuff that he was willing to kind of play around with. But he sounded like he didn't want to do anything that would take us on a path that prevents us from being able to adopt easily those improvements.
Yeah. So I thought that just on the question you have, Bluey, what do we think about this? I haven't got a problem with it at all. I think it's the right move if you've got audited software. The only issue I see, the only problem I see, well, not the only problem, but the main problem I see is more from a marketing perspective, because you've gone so hard in the other direction, talking about what you were going to do with PulseChain previous to ETH 2.0. But now that it's happened, you pivot, and look, crypto, the ecosystem is it's pivots so quickly. Everything's, in a couple of weeks, everyone would have forgotten, it hasn't released anyway.
It's important to change as the world changes.
Yeah,
as
that's right.
the situation changes, you've got to, absolutely.
The reason why they were forging ahead with the BSC protocol was because proof of stake didn't exist on Ethereum, and they didn't know when that was going to exist. Obviously, that came to market a lot quicker than what we're expecting, or before they could sort out the problems on Binance chain. So I think that's the smart thing to do. I actually wanted to just get your guys' thoughts on, from a centralization, decentralization point of view. Do you think it's better or worse than what we would have had on Binance? Like when you're talking about DPoS and the validators.
It's an interesting question, isn't it? It's a really interesting question, because they're two different security models. In one model, you have like tons of people, and if people are attacked, it's not going to affect because there's tons of other people. But in the delegated model, you have these centralized people getting those slots. And if a government comes along to one of those and says you have to stop, that person just stops, and somebody else is in there to replace them. Hey?
Well, even from a delegator point of view, so if you're delegating, we had some pretty significant wallet sacrifice as part of the sacrifice process. Assuming they get an airdrop of tokens, they would have been able to probably take
all the slots. Right.
Yeah. So I think it's actually I think from a decentralization point of view,
we would be able to see that though, wouldn't we?
What? No, you would because they would, if they split up their wallet. I guess you could, if you really wanted to follow it.
You'd have to track it back. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It'd be on chain that they're doing.
Yeah, but someone basically would have enough to, within the first couple of wallets, they'd be able to vote out any delegators that they wanted to. Obviously, you got OA that could step in and protect that, which I think is the reason why it was there. I think it's a better result going to ETH2's protocol. I think it'll mean a lot more validators can get spun up. So,
I like the idea of
this is very interesting from the perspective of the censorship, the so-called censorship that's been going on the Ethereum network. Did any of you guys get a chance to see? And just before I say this, just guys in the chat, like people watching, don't freak out. Like just because I'm going to say that I watched a video by Eric Wall, don't freak out. The guy is
don't freak out.
He's a smart dude, and you need to and people, and this is, I see this issue in crypto is people can't separate like someone just being a troll, right? And then when they're talking like facts, when they're actually imparting knowledge. And he's when it comes to consensus networks, he's one of the smartest dudes in the world. So
you've got to get out of the echo chamber.
Yeah, you got to, if he's saying something about like Ethereum or about that censorship stuff, I'm listening to it. If he's saying like nonsense about HEX, I'm going to shit on him. Like, so for me, that's how I can see what I'm not just going to.
So that's it. That's enough. We don't have to
The challenge is, can you watch someone who's saying something that you don't like and mentally construct the argument that you would use to destroy their shit with logical flow, so that where you're like, actually, so when someone shits on HEX, I'm like immediately like, I would just say this, game over, easy. But so it's always fine. Like people who are like, no, just don't even listen to what these people are saying. It's like, well, are you scared that they might say something that you don't like and that you can't immediately disprove? That's the.
Yeah. I actually think it's a better tactic is when you're listening to someone whose view you oppose, is to listen to them as if you agree with them and as if they are saying something very, very valuable. You give it that chance. And at the end, you can then decide and you can change your mind and you can go and look at other information or whatever, but at least you've given what they've said a chance. And maybe there is something valuable in there.
Hey, can I just make a quick comment on what Jexa said earlier? It's this super quick. I would need to give that question more deep thought, but my initial thought is that I believe there's likely factors that outweigh that decision by a lot. So whether we are more similar to Binance or more similar to ETH in terms of the consensus algorithm, I think there are factors that that would impact the ability for the network to be censored that far outweigh whether it's that one or that one. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it might be sort of
external things.
Yeah, it might be like geographical distribution, how much people are relying on services like Amazon Web Services, the specific threat vectors, how people are handling that, the gangsterness of the people who are running the validators, whether they're willing to say like, yo, stick it. Like I think those sorts of things actually become more important. But I'd need to
OG43, you're on mute, mate.
Thanks,
mate. I know, and I did watch that video that you watched, and in that,
I've got a clip from it. I've got a clip from it that's very relevant to what we're talking about right now. So I might play that, and then we can have a chat. And just listen, guys in the chat. This is like more on the technical side, but hey, listen. We might learn something.
50% of the blocks in Ethereum are currently OFAC compliant. Is this a problem? Yeah, I think it's a big problem. So what should we do? Like, should we slash every single validator who's registered with an OFAC compliant MEV boost relay? I feel like we have to separate between two separate issues here. So one thing that's very important to remember is what is the reason that flashbots exists? So there's censorship in the network can happen at two different levels. Or actually three, there's more levels, but the two main ones is in the block construction process and then also at the validator level. The current censorship that we're seeing in the network is in this red box here, in the MEV boost portion. You have to remember, what was the reason that flashbots exist? Well, it's because what if in Ethereum there's only one validator that's really, really good at extracting MEV? If there's only one validator that's really, really good at extracting MEV, they are going to be able to provide much higher staking yields than anyone else. And then you're going to see, so let's imagine that's Coinbase, for example. Let's imagine that Coinbase is really good at this. Well, then you get a much higher yield if you delegate your stake to Coinbase versus, for example, staking on your own. This is why flashbots exist. It's because they're allowing any validator to mine, to make blocks as if they were flashbots, as if they had access to flashbots' MEV extraction techniques. So what flashbots is doing is allowing validators to not have to redelegate their stake to someone else, but still be able to mine these very profitable blocks. So they're preserving validator level decentralization in the system. Now it's come at an awful cost, right? It's come at the cost that they are now OFAC compliant and they're building these blocks that everyone's using. They're relaying these blocks, and this is a terrible thing. But at least we have the opportunity here that validators can use other relays, and there are technical ways that we can. So basically, before the merge, flashbots only used to create a portion of the blocks. So we can go back to such a model. We can use PBS, we can use inclusion lists, we can use partial block auctions, and we can go back to a model. There are technical solutions to this specific problem, which we're in now, where flashbots are creating these entire blocks. And if flashbots is censoring that, that also then applies to the validator. But at least we're in a situation where validators can use other relays, and we can implement these technical solutions that force MEV builders to include certain transactions. So there's a solution to that. Whereas if all the stake was centralized in Coinbase's hands and they start censoring, well, that's a much worse problem, right? So this is why I'm not going out on Twitter and saying, let's slash all the validators that's using flashbots. What I think we got to do is we got to explore these technical solutions to reduce the impact that the MEV relays and the MEV builders has. There's a way for us to dig ourselves out of the hole that we're currently in.
So that was just that was basically part one. So he was talking. He said at the beginning that there were what did he say? He said like 3 elements, but he's only covering 2. So the other element we don't. He hasn't mentioned it in this talk.
Well, I think one's the builder of the MEV,
yep,
and one's
that's
the
one.
of the MEV. So
yep,
that could be
there was another one
two things,
that he said.
One thing. No, that's what I think he was saying. Was there's 3 things, or you could just say there's 2. If you,
the MEV booster.
Yeah. But he did go on later in that talk to say as well.
I've got another video that goes on from there pretty much. It's about the validator, because I mean, this is what I got out of that. That he's saying that there are things that they can do with the way things currently are right now. There are things that they can do. But if it's the validators that start censoring, then that's when they're censoring other validators who have allowed transactions that they want to censor. That's where the issue.
Yeah, so at the moment they're at arm's length because the MEV bots or relays are giving them that bit of distance where they're basically doing the heavy lifting and making sure everything's compliant. But if those relays weren't, I'm sure as shit the US government would be putting pressure on the actual validators if those blocks were getting processed.
The more pernicious problem here, which is what if the validators? So even if we have a bunch of different relays that all create very profitable blocks, and the validators can choose between those blocks, but what if the validators themselves, they want to censor the network? They think that it's their mission to make sure that Ethereum is OFAC compliant. So what you have to recognize here is that there's 2 different ways that the validator can think about this, and there's 2 different forms of censorship. So the first one is that you basically just filter transactions. That the transactions that you include, you make sure that no OFAC compliance get into the chain. In this situation, even if 99.9% of the validators do this, as long as one validator in the system does not do this, that transaction still gets in. So this is bad. I mean, 50% of the blocks in Ethereum being OFAC compliant is not a good thing, and we have to monitor that, and maybe we got to do something serious if it reaches 90%. But there's one attack that is much, much worse, which I call a censorship attack, which is where validators refuse to attest to blocks, other validators' blocks, if they include such transactions. So this would result in a system-wide censorship if validators decided to do this. And I think this is the one that we should treat equally as if it was a double spend on the network. If we see anyone doing reorg-style censorship in the network, that results in system-wide censorship, and that's what we really, really got to charge our laser-eyed sharks for, right? This is the most pernicious attack. I still don't think that it's a...
Yeah, so when the US government announced these measures, 50% of the validators freaked out and went along to be that OFAC compliant. Ironically, the SWIFT network isn't OFAC compliant because the SWIFT network is a messaging network for all sorts of different jurisdictions. And so it's actually impossible for it to be compliant with all of those jurisdictions. So what the governments now are trying to censor more than Swift. But the thing is, it's not going to work because, I mean, all you need is one validator. As long as the other validators aren't censoring each other, that's when the shit show happens. But if there's only one validator, like everyone can be compliant, and then you can have your validator in Hungary or in the jungle in Africa or whatever, and that's taking anyone's things, then it'll go into the system. But if all of those other people start censoring those kinds of people who are putting in non-OFAC compliant addresses, then it'll turn into a shit show. But it comes down.
It comes down to an economic thing, though. So if you're a Coinbase and you're able to control the vast proportion of blocks getting produced, and that's your revenue stream that you're giving to your people that are staking with you and so forth, and you've got a choice: either lose your revenue stream or censor blocks. They're going to censor blocks.
Censor other validators, you're saying?
But isn't that an issue just for people in the jurisdiction that?
Yes.
You would think so.
By OFAC, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how far that stretches. Like if you are outside of the US, but you're processing a block that is sent to someone in the US or something like that, does that mean you've crossed the boundary at that level, or I don't know?
The real question is, I feel like there's plenty of countries in the world.
Then it becomes under their jurisdiction. Like the US is like loose as shit with what it becomes under their jurisdiction. If someone said the word America within a 100-mile radius of the thing happening, it's under their jurisdiction. It's like, so just assume that they can do it anywhere.
Wait a second.
Unless you're in North Korea.
They can't go into another country and enforce. Like, so if a validator is in a country that doesn't, how are they going to go into another? Hang on a second. Wait.
What happened to the guy in Netherlands?
Exactly.
That was that's
the Dutch government.
That's not what we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about something else.
Over compliance by allied governments is absolutely a factor, though.
What we're talking about here is that if there's a validator in a country that does not cooperate with the US, for example,
that's what I just said.
Is the US going to go into that country and go and unplug the validator? Like,
no,
but that's a
minority. That's a minority number of nation states, man. Like you could probably list them on both your hands of places.
So that's all that. But that's
talking about. There's loads of countries that America doesn't have their reach, like Russia, China.
Come on, man. Don't be naive. Like
India, Turkey. Like there's tons. I mean, they can go and target specific individuals using a ton of resources to get that one individual. Absolutely. But in terms of like systemic, like censorship, like
I'll just say this. It's definitely somewhere between what it sounds like you guys are implying and where you think it is that I'm implying. But I'm just trying to recalibrate you guys. And I'm just trying to recalibrate you guys that it's a lot wider than what most people would imagine is all I'm really saying.
But that's just imaginary fear. I don't know, man. That's also there's
agreements. There's agreements between countries. Okay, what one country can ask another country, like the US can't just go into another country and do shit. They've got to go and make a request through the federal police or
not formally they can't, but come on, man. You know how this shit works.
Yeah,
I think Jackson and I agree. This is a 2v2. We've got a 2v2 battle here.
Yeah, individuals they can target. Individuals they can target, and they can pour tons of resources to
validators that can get spun up.
But as soon as like there's thousands or millions of individuals that they want to be targeting, forget it. They haven't got the resources to do that. They're trying. They're trying with all.
I sit with one foot in each camp because at a corporate level, they will come down hard. And that's what I said. If it's a Coinbase or someone like that, fair game. And that doesn't have to be just in a US jurisdiction, but if it's a corporate entity somewhere or there's someone they can pin their foot to the ground, they'll go after them. But the beauty of having the ability to have thousands of validators means that can they shut the network down? Well, no, that it'll just things will pop up when they need to keep running the network. Same as Bitcoin.
It's
same as you go.
Just-in-time security, bros.
It's very interesting. This whole idea of jurisdiction is very interesting because you can have places which have both jurisdictions over the top of each other, and then it just becomes which one you decide to go with.
I think the easiest way for me to make my
state
point
and
is
federal type things.
Well, actually, do you know what laws stand for? Land, air, water, space, and they are the 4 different jurisdictions of like what that laws apply to, and they are very
legit.
Land-based. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Yes.
No, but is that where?
No. 43 is asking if it's a backronym.
I was going to say
that's where it came from.
Is that straight off Wikipedia?
I'm voting backronym, man. I'm voting backronym.
Urban Dictionary.
That acronym was back calculated. Like I believe. I would assume. But it doesn't matter. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one. Regardless.
It's too good. It's like
it's really good.
No, well,
I've been researching a lot into jurisdictions lately, and like land jurisdiction is very different from maritime or sea jurisdiction.
Yep,
completely different. And so you can be if you decide that you're on land and that you're you're doing whatever you're doing under that jurisdiction, and you can write an affidavit, and that has to be treated as a weight of evidence, right? With the weight of evidence, like you can decide what jurisdiction you are in. So even the US government has its hands tied, and there are tons of like Supreme Court decisions within the US government, which have looked at all of that jurisdictional issue, and I could give you some more interesting examples, but it's probably a bit of a tangent.
I just want to make one super quick point. Even if we assume that you guys are correct, what Day 43 and Bluey is saying, and I would say that's best case scenario. These threat vectors are still real and they need to be considered, and they are like, I don't think what you guys are saying is enough to write off it being a real threat to Ethereum and other such networks.
I think we'll be fine, and I think people will come with
serious threat to Ethereum. It could become a serious threat, but right now, I don't believe it's the case. I don't believe.
I think Pulse will be fine because everyone's a G. Like
So
Pulse.
Bluey,
I don't think Ethereum proof of stake will be fine.
Bluey, going on your theory of the land, air, water, sea.
I do. I think
space.
I think
space.
Ethereum PRS will be fine.
Space. Yep. This is where I think, and whether or not that acronym's true or not, by the point. But what we have is this digital realm where none of that applies. So everything you've spoken there is
it's not clear. It's not clear.
It's in this physical realm where we've got this weird digital space, the meta space,
and it crosses borders and jurisdictions.
Yep, and it's very ethereal in its nature. So it's very hard for them to pin that down. That's why they're having such a hard time with DeFi. So I think,
and it's literally impossible to be in compliance with every single jurisdiction at the same time, which is why Swift can't even do that.
It's not possible.
It's just not possible. Yeah,
because there's conflicting rules in all the jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So as a little side note, apparently our mate Sam is it Sam Bankman-Fried?
Bankman-Fried. Yeah. FTX.
Apparently he's trying to get some sort of bit license introduced in the US, which will cover all DeFi stuff.
That's that New York license, is it?
I think it's similar. To that. He's trying to get it throughout the US.
It's not surprising. He donated massively to the Democrat Party, and they obviously got in. So he's probably getting all sorts of favors, getting kicked back now. And and he's been out on a bit of a media run in the last couple of weeks, doing the CNN.
He's definitely making a land grab, and the amount of he obviously cleaned up big on all the. So I think did he end up? I'm not sure if he ended up buying Celsius assets or whether he's still in talks with that. But Voyager, I think he brought theirs. BlockFi, I think he rescued them. rescued.
Basically, he got all of their money pretty much. And now he wants to buy them.
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I think he's a bit of a risk there in what he's doing as well. They're getting pretty big.
Maybe he listened to Richard. A Bitcoin top.
So when you hear complaints about the OA this and the OA that, that's the kind of shit it protects against, is external threats like that, people coming in and taking ownership of networks and things like that. So there's a reason why we have things like that, and you've got to, whether you like it or not, there is always trust in these networks at some level because of the ownership that happens in them.
It gets tricky though, because the narrative slightly changes with each thing. Like HEX, there's the narrative of the OA. Then Pulse, okay, there's the narrative if you want to keep it safe. And then PulseX. Does that PulseX also, OA also sacked for that as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they also have a ton, at most of that as well.
Yeah. I think that's, was that necessary? Who knows?
I thought not. But obviously I was wrong. And also I don't understand the economic, like I understand the diamonds analogy, but it's this is completely different from that, because you don't see like with the diamond analogy, they hold all the diamonds and they just give them out little by little. But the HEX OA doesn't give any out.
No, I mean, but you can go mine your own diamonds.
Not staking.
People who have the diamonds don't control the supply of diamond. I mean, they control the majority of the supply, but not all of it.
The thing is, in terms of the market, though, like, okay, so you have one big player, but then you have the market, and that market is probably similar to every single other kind of distribution of
that big player holding so many sets a higher price for everyone, even the smaller players. So everyone benefits.
So as a thought experiment, if the OA, if let's say somebody thought that it was limiting HEX's growth, having this narrative, and so they decided, okay, we're going to create a contract, and we're going to go put all of the HEX, which is 50% of the supply, into this contract, and comes out in 10 years.
Yeah, do it. Gee up.
How would that affect the HEX price, do you think?
It would have to go up. Well, as in upwards, if anything.
Well, the only way it would affect it is if you're looking at yields and things like that.
But it's the same. Like the yield's the same, because if he just puts it in a contract, which it's just it's frozen for 10 years. That's all that contract says.
Yeah.
So
if you're assuming it's never going to stake, then it's the same.
Oh, so it's not staked, but it is locked. Locked, but not staked, and not burnt. So it will eventually be retrievable. Wow, that's genius. Who came up with that shit?
Me, just.
Oh, damn! I always knew you were a genius, man.
But why do you guys assume? Why do you assume? Like, I'm just going to play the devil's advocate. Why do you assume that that's better than the current status quo?
No, it's just a thought experiment. I don't know.
Trust out of it. It takes the trust out of it. It takes.
So you saying
one thing that happened?
But if someone forks the network, and then the OA is a toothless tiger because it's got all its shit.
Locked,
But it wouldn't need to lock
only on that other network.
It wouldn't need to lock everything.
But why? Why even some of it? Why? Do you know what I mean? Like, just look at the behavior. Almost 3 years of just like flawless behavior by the OA.
But hang on.
It's like
bro. We don't need it. Bro. We don't need it.
That ability is there now.
Yeah.
At the F or ETH fork, whoever did that could have written out, scrubbed the whole HEX contract if they wanted to, or the whole the HEX OA's addresses.
Oh, I don't think they could do
that. I don't think it's that easy to do, mate.
I don't think so, man.
I don't think so.
This is a database.
They can do that. Not on a fork.
Everything's interconnected, dude.
But wasn't Richard talking about when he forks, there are some scams?
Admin keys. If a coin has admin keys, they can.
No, he was talking about scams that he was talking about scams that he didn't want over.
We're yet to see whether you can even do that. Bluey, we're yet
I
to
don't
see
even know
whether
that you
it
can
can
do it.
even be done.
Actually, Bluey, that's
Didn't
a good point. That actually,
Didn't they?
Bluey,
But they
that's
did
a
it to
good-
an extent with the ETH-W or ETH. They did
wait.
it to an extent. I think with ETH-W.
What did they do?
They did some sort of censoring. Because
they
put a whole lot of ETH into, like, so.
I'll do what Richard's going to do. Hang on a minute. I'm going to check.
Hang on, Bluey's got a really good point here. Bluey's got a really good point. Richard said there were going to be some coins that he was just going to fuck them off.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that you can. Let me just have a look.
I'm trying to think if you even can.
They did it with the Ethereum DAO. They did it with the Ethereum DAO hack.
No, that was a rollback.
No, that's a roll. That's different. That's
rollback.
That's a rollback.
No, but not all of those transactions. Not all of the. How much did they roll it back? Not everyone's transaction.
Before the hack.
They rolled it back to before the hack. They rolled it back to before it was hacked.
No, but the transactions that happened after the hack were still in there. Like if you bought Bitcoin after the DAO hack, you still
let me explain
Bitcoin.
it to you. The DAO hack in terms of Superman. Superman, the second movie where like he flies around the world. Remember that one? And he flies around the world and makes it go back in time. And then he stops his chick from dying. That is the fucking DAO hack. This is what happened.
Yeah.
But in that alternate universe where Lois Lane died, that's ETH Classic.
All right. I can resolve this for you now. So there was one particular token which said was not going to get brought across that we could all agree on. It is on testnet and had a token transfer an hour ago. So if he could have scrubbed he would have scrubbed
he didn't, but could he? Like
43. Yeah. I'm with Bluey on this. That just because of the testnet, he might just not have been fucked to actually do it properly yet. Like, as in, you know what I mean? But 43. The answer to your question is why bother doing it? It's not for people like us who are highly convicted and highly convinced and look at the history of the OA's behavior and be like that. It's obvious that it's not a malicious party. It's for all the other people. It's for all the other haters and everyone else that doesn't share that view. It proves to them trustlessly that it will not be a problem for 10 fucking years. So, and a decade in crypto is a century in normal time. Yeah. So
the thing is,
it's effectively forever.
I just say fuck those people. That's what I
reckon. As a tactic, it wouldn't change their minds. It probably would not change their minds.
But then they won't enter. I think it would be enough to change their minds.
They might enter anyway.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, it's uncertain. It's uncertain whether it would be enough to change their minds or not. If they're convinced that HEX is a scam, they might not enter anyway.
I think they're seeing everything through that lens. And in fact, in that talk that Eric gave, there was a guy who asked a question, and before the question, he thanked Eric for dealing so well for calling out Richard the scam of HEX and all of this kind of stuff. And it's just like, and he was a professor at a university, and like, fucking so clueless, eh?
I actually think this is an amazing hybrid solution, and not hybrid, halfway house, like as in, so it's not a full burn where the shit is just bin. That would be ridiculous to just like bin. Then why even generate those tokens in the first place if you're just going to send them to a burn address? But it shows the dedication level. I think it's a great idea.
I do not. I think it's a terrible.
I'm with.
Okay. Well then. But then counter it. So you've asked us what the benefit of doing it would be. Hold up, and we've said the benefit would be convincing haters. Now you counter it.
That's yet to be. That's yet to be determined. That's yet to be determined. No, but the disadvantage is that you're assuming that the outcome is going to be that, and it may not be. Like you're assuming the hate will find something else to latch onto and hate on that shit.
But then you'll be. That's not. Then you'd just be back at neutral. It wouldn't be a bad thing.
Then why do it in the first place?
What
neutral? Why do it in the first place?
Bro,
just let them deal with what it is.
I'm gonna crush you, bro. I'm gonna crush you.
Crush me, please.
Bro, I'm sorry.
Please,
I'm sorry, bro.
Please
I'm about to absolutely crush the shit out of you.
Do it.
If there's something that you can do that has a potential positive and worst case scenario is neutral, no brainer, dude. You fucking do it.
So prove to me that the worst case scenario is neutral. Prove to me that the worst case scenario is neutral.
Because the haters.
Possible negative, someone forks the network and then the OA is a toothless tiger.
Okay, so that's the answer I was looking for, by the way.
So hang on,
I was looking for you to give me a reason of why there would be a potential negative.
Now, hang on, OG40, can you just explain to me how that works? Because I don't understand how he becomes a toothless. They become a toothless
I want to hear more about the teeth on this tiger.
Well, for example, when we had that once-off situation where we had the big payday, the OA was able to do shit, right? Now,
but that's But that's it. Dude, that was that one time.
No,
the big payday.
On.
What else
can I? Okay, do you want to cut me off?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if someone forks the network, what can the OA do to reduce yield for everyone else? They could stake on that forked network and fuck everyone up on that network that is not supposed to be there. Right? So the OA can do shit. The OA has got power, and the OA getting rid of that power makes no sense to me. It was there for a reason from the beginning. Why get rid of it? It makes no sense to me.
There's not going to be another big payday. That was a unique event.
By staking everything, it fucks the yield on that other chain that the OA doesn't like, is the theory, is what 43 is saying. Is that there's a potential, there's a capacity there to fuck the yield on the chain that the OA doesn't want HEX to exist on. By staking all the HEX. Yeah. So diluting
the OA has the key. So you're saying the OA has the ability.
So
you're saying the OA has the ability to fuck HEX on other chains.
On other chains,
their ability.
Yes.
They have the ability to destroy HEX on other chains.
And they wouldn't have that ability.
It's a toothless power, because it's a power you would never want to use. Why would you ever want to use that power?
The OA would lose that power if it did what we're suggesting.
But why would he ever use it?
The time lock contract. If the OA doesn't like the chain that is being forked.
What scenario would that be where he doesn't like a chain which has HEX on it, and he?
So, bro, did you destroy me? Did I just get destroyed? Someone, please tell me. Am I destroyed?
Scam chain. No. The thing that I destroyed you on was if it was neutral to positive, then it's a no-brainer. But you eventually gave me the negative, which was all I was asking for. And now I accept what you're saying. So once you gave me the negative, once you gave
that negative
for a negative outcome, then now I destroy you. So sorry,
that negative is
now I agree with you. That
negative is a paper tiger, because I can't even, in an parade of imaginary horribles, I can't even imagine a scenario.
A scam chain, bro. A scam chain.
What's a scam chain? What's a scam chain?
L1. A scam L1.
What's that?
No, sorry. Joking. A scam L1. Like, so say someone. Okay. There was a rumor going around where Saudis were gonna like fork PulseChain or some shit. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be the example of what 43 is talking about. Richard.
So you're saying that Richard
so the OA would want to go yield on a fake version of, if someone forks PulseChain.
That makes no sense.
Not Richard. The OA. The OA could go, look, that's a fake PulseChain. I'm just going to destroy it. Boom.
That makes no sense. Why would you destroy it? You let it go. Everyone go get your coins and extract as much value as you can. Like, the OA would have no reason to destroy HEX on any chains.
I vote that I think the OA would dislike a fork of Pulse. That's my vote. Do you agree, 43?
It's not up. It's irrelevant whether they like it or not. Yeah, you think they're going to kill HEX on any other?
As much as I know about.
If they start killing HEX, if they start killing HEX on other forks, that makes HEX less valuable. There's no way the OA will do that.
I think the main point is the haters are going to hate regardless. If you lock up the coins, the argument will just change to, the coins are only locked for 10 years or the coins are only locked for 15 years. So you're not actually removing any of that.
Fair call.
It's people's bias that he's against, not the actual truth of the matter.
And that's why I said fuck them. Like, let them come to the realization in time when HEX is a lot more expensive. And we just need to keep as the HEX community, and we understand, we see, how good it is, how good the contract is. We just need to keep, beating the drum against these haters, just like waves beat up against a cliff face and slowly erode it away. That's what that's what the HEX community needs to keep doing.
I actually just thought of a couple of others, is the ability to use the coins for things like cross-chain LPs and shit like that. Like, you don't know what could come up in the future where you're like, where you actually do need a stack to do some shit, maybe. So, and here's another one that overarches everything is unknowns. Like, say the OA went and did that. I know I'm like arguing against myself here, but say the OA went and did that shit, and then something comes up that no one expected, and you're like, oh fuck, now we actually need those coins to counter this particular issue, and they're locked for 10 years, like literally trustlessly in a contract, gone. We can't fix this issue for a decade. So, okay, I know it sounds like I'm changing teams, but I'm just thinking through it logically.
Look, it's adding more contract. It's probably a dumb thing for the OA to do because it's adding more contract risk, which is unnecessary.
I liked the idea initially.
Just for marketing purposes, it's not a very good marketing idea.
I liked the idea from the demonstration of trustlessness to basically say, okay, you guys have got a problem with one person or one entity owning a majority of the supply. Boom, here you go. Here's code that you can audit that says I can't touch the shit for 10 years. Boom, there you go. Now shut the fuck up.
There's another problem. But there's another problem. The problem is from an optics perspective. If you fold to the will of haters, that they're not good optics.
They're not going to stop.
Another solid point. Another solid point.
Especially if they get some sort of success. Yeah.
Give an inch, these haters will take a mile.
Absolutely.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
but I've enjoyed this as a thought experiment. I've really enjoyed it because it's not something that I personally thought of, like as in would have thought of as that intermediate step. Because obviously people are like, we don't want the OA to actually stake it because then it dilutes. But this was an option where it's not staked, but it is locked, which is I still give Bluey genius status for coming up with the idea, even though we've kind of like come to a point now where we've decided it might not be the greatest step.
Bro, this is what I love about Bluey. Bluey has got like such a think outside the box way of approaching things. And I really appreciate that, man. I mean, even if half the time I might disagree with it, it doesn't matter. I like that we do, run through the thought experiment. Absolutely.
Just as a
100%.
A bit of a segue. So on Richard's conversation with Ivan, it's the first time he's dropped about OKX as well. Is that true?
He hasn't mentioned it by name, has he? I think I've heard the name somewhere else before. But yeah, he doesn't mention it a lot.
That was the first time.
Well, he's not sure he's not sure they're going to come through. It's like wait until it actually happens,
Yeah, but he's never dropped. He's never really name dropped.
Yeah, that's true. He avoids normally. Yeah, but I think he did mention it once. So I read it somewhere or something because I had heard that before ages ago, a while ago. Yeah.
So they've been very quick to support the ETH forks as well. They're an okay exchange, like they're from a point of using them and the like. What I'd suggest is, and without trying to cause a rush on OKX, but you might want to get an account set up there prior to any forks happening, just in case you need it. Because if you've got 100,000 hexagons all trying to set up an account one day, you might struggle to get one. But if that's going to be a play and you're going to need to be bridging value, you might want to have a look at that. Just as a bit of a heads up.
Get those selfies ready.
Yeah. And I actually, I don't know whether you have to. Yeah, I don't know whether you have to KYC on that one or not. Not too sure. And then there's the Maxi one as well. They seem to be pretty good at supporting these forks. Also,
and you don't need KYC for Maxi.
You don't need KYC. Yeah. That one's actually
Maxi.
I wouldn't leave anything of value on there for too long, but
correct.
Things flow very quickly, and it seems to work. Yeah, for any exchange, I wouldn't do that.
To me, that cost is acceptable. That cost of risk is acceptable to me. To not have to KYC, to have a slightly increased risk of the shit going down, if I'm just using it temporarily.
If you're just bridging value in and out, that's fine, I think.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing.
You can do it in batches. You can do it in batches.
Sexes are essentially bridges.
Yes.
And,
yes.
and at the moment, that's
Very
the big
similar.
problem in DeFi is we don't have a trustless bridge. And that's hacks all over.
I think that's what I said.
I tweeted about this. I tweeted saying a bridge is like a bridge and a CEX are quite similar in terms of how they operate, because most of the bridges that exist right now are trusted. So, but you're adding tech risk into the tech stack. You've got like bug risk and like the person being a scammer and shit. Whereas obviously that exists in centralized exchange as well. But I think if you look at the risk profile and you compare them, I think a centralized exchange is more incentivized to not scam, because a centralized exchange is actually making quite a lot of money on fees. Whereas a bridge doesn't actually make that much money on fees. So their incentive to just rug everything and steal all the money is actually much higher proportionally to their future. And also, like with a centralized exchange, they're burning their rep. The exchange goes down if they rug. Whereas with a bridge, they can just rug it and then just create another bridge because it's all anonymous and shit. It's not registered or anything. So in some ways, I think a centralized exchange used like this, where you batch send with no KYC, is actually in some ways is actually better or safer than using some of these untested, unknown bridges.
Yeah, and that's so Binance used to be used primarily for that, and obviously they screwed everyone over at the drop of a hat and started KYC accounts. So you'd be very careful.
Not Mexico, baby.
Yeah, don't leave any funds on there. But yeah, that's essentially Binance is one of the biggest bridges going around because they have all the outputs to all the different networks, primarily their own as well. That's how Binance Smart Chain got so big so quick, is it was just easy to bridge value onto that network from Binance itself. So they were effectively their own bridge to their chain.
I have to say I have seen a lot of good DeFi bridges. They seem good to me.
Operate well, you mean?
Actually, I'm not going to say a lot. I'm going to say a couple. That operate
that Stargate
very, very quickly.
I had a quick look at Stargate. From a technical standpoint, I've got no idea. I didn't delve into it that far, but it's
got like a lot of contracts. I went and looked at all the contracts, like, oh shit.
But they're all mostly stables, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you mean contracts running it? But yeah, I think there's just a lot of liquidity pools with stable coins, which to me is good and bad. It's fraught with a lot of danger. Like
is that EVM compatible?
Yeah. If you're going to want,
they have to be if you're going to bridge.
Yeah, just from a privacy point of view, like that is a massive honeypot where if funds are getting routed through your addresses there, that's a choke point where if they're monitoring that hub, you're going to get a lot of data on people and their addresses. So, I don't know. Just seems a little bit funky, that one, but that's just me being with my privacy hat on.
In my experience, the bridges that were created as like official bridges, so where the incentive for that chain to run a good, reliable bridge is that their chain will actually be receiving economic energy, have been the ones that I've found to be the most reliable and like with the least F-ups and stuff like that. So, i.e., when you look at whatever the chain is, they're kind of like official bridge, or the one that they say is that those ones I've found to I've had the least problems with.
Well, not Binance. Their bridge was just hacked.
That was an internal bridge. That was an internal
BSC to BNB.
Yeah. So not the bridge that goes chain to chain.
No, the internal bridge from BSC to BNB. But that's a cross-chain.
I'm more talking about when you're trying to go cross chain. But
BSC to BNB is a cross chain bridge, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, they're like both by the same cunts. Like that's. I don't really count that as a bridge. That was more structurally how they got the chain to operate. Like that was more of an internal structure for the operation of Binance Smart Chain to operate, rather than anyone using it to try and get economic energy to another ecosystem. So you see what I'm saying? Like that. So ecosystem is probably the best word I can use to describe it. That was a bridge within the same ecosystem. Whereas I'm talking more bridges where you're going from ecosystem to ecosystem, like AVAX to Ethereum or Polygon to Binance or whatever.
I think we had this. I don't think you were on with us last week, Blue, but we went into the bridge thing last week as well, and I think I made the comment that that's the nut we need to crack as an industry this time around. The Uniswap made big leaps and bounds into the whole DEX thing and being able to freely trade things, but we still haven't got that cross-chain thing, and that's where all the hacks happen. That's the biggest risk. That's and that is from go back a few years, and everyone was like, one coin's going to rule everything, and it'll be Bitcoin, and then everyone started to slowly change. Oh, maybe we can have more than one coin, and obviously the Maxis still stick to their Bitcoin's the only one. But we're going to, I think it's clearly evident, we're going to end up with thousands of tokens. We already have thousands of tokens, and you can hold your value in whatever damn coin or token is appropriate for you and meets your needs, whether it's speed, security, yield, whatever it is. You get to choose where you store your value and how you use it, but it's seamless to use your token to transfer value to someone else that's holding it, and however they bloody want to hold it. So I think once we free that up and we can, there's no friction in moving token to token or coin to coin. That's next level, and that's when things will change significantly in this space. And I think
more choices. We'll have more choices.
Well, it's just it's not even about more choices. It's less friction, and it's who cares if it's XRP or HEX or we've all got our different flavors of things we like. It's like having
I care if it's XRP. That's just fake.
Actually, I'd like to say something about this. Because there's been with all the like I think like watching. I want to talk about Zen. Sorry, but like I think it's been an absolutely astounding launch.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
I'm just going to turn my camera off quickly because I don't want to get unfollowed by Richard soon.
Well, he's still following.
I'm not a part of this, Richard.
Honestly, like I can't believe the hate that's come out. They've had the most incredible numbers on their launch, and you can't deny that. And I've been going over to their Telegram. You know, I've been a few times. It is a real mixture of people over there. It's people from HEX community. It's people from SHIB. It's people from the Drip network. It's people from Safe, whatever, Moon or something. There's a whole ton of crypto communities over there.
What about no coiners though? Wasn't it meant to be?
Well, that's the perfect thing. Okay, I want to give you.
What does this have to do with HEX? What does this have to do with HEX? Because this is the HEX Late Show. And last time I checked, that has nothing to do with HEX.
Well, Dexter was just talking about how we can choose where to store our value, and you'll have thousands of coins. So that this is something that's come up in the HEX. This is why I want to bring it up. I want to bring it up because I think this is an opportunity for Hexicans rather than, and it shouldn't be treated as a threat. There is it adds a tool to our belt in terms of onboarding, and I'll give you an example. I did an acrobatics course this week. And I met up with a friend who I'd seen a couple of times. We started talking. I said, "What have you been doing?" I haven't seen him for a few years. Yeah, I've gone into crypto. Blah 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 blah. He said, "Oh yeah, I've gone into crypto, and I started doing a little bit. I bought $100 worth of Ethereum and da da da." I said, "Oh yeah, did you put it on your own wallet and stuff?" And he was like, "Nah." I said, "Yeah, I've got my own wallet. Yeah." And then later I found out, no. What he meant was it's on Kraken. And so I said to him, "Okay, well this is." And we talked more and blah, blah, blah. And then he wanted to learn more about it. I said, this is the easiest thing to do. Set up a MetaMask account, send your ETH over to there. That's your first step. He's already got the ETH on Kraken. Send it over and control your own money. After he puts that over, I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell him, now go and mint a Zen wallet, because that's going to teach you how to learn how to use this. And it's going to also teach you, it's going to get him using it. And then as you progress, and if he does want to start then putting more money of his fiat money into crypto, then you talk about the options, of which HEX is obviously a big, a major, if not,
I've got to say,
to me, it's like if
you're going to go to that much energy and effort, get him to buy fucking HEX.
Yeah, I'm about to
you don't understand. You don't understand, man. This is an acrobat. This is an acrobat who's a teacher. He just goes and fucking project.
But you teach him once, man. You teach him once, and he'll know how to do it.
It's a process. It's a process, man. I'm telling you.
Man.
I can't. I'm not going to go and tell a friend.
Hey, Bluey, I think that if you think that that's how you want to
in this situation, in this situation,
but I would not suggest that to anyone who's watching this show. I think that's a waste of time.
Really?
It's a waste
of gas money. Just spend that money on.
Are you crazy? It's a transaction cost. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And you get to learn how to use it and to do it with very little risk. And there you can set them up and test them and stuff. But that's extra barriers of fucking RPC settings and all that kind of shit.
That's what you need to do to use crypto.
Later,
you need to go and
you can't. It's too much of a
later. What? Later that day
for someone new.
No, it's later. When
you need to gradually. Most people aren't as into this as we are. Most people want to every few months check up on it. They want it. They don't want to
I just think ETH is way too valuable, potentially way too valuable in the future as well, to be wasting it on. Transaction fees.
If you had $100 of ETH, you would spend $4 or $5 on a transaction to learn how to use it.
But I don't. So Bluey, hang on. Let's just go through. Hang on. No,
I just.
My point is, right?
I wouldn't be telling people. But hang on. I think that why even bother that? Just confuse people.
My point is, as a community, we can take this bullshit tribalist thing and just that we've been victims of, and just extend it to other people, or we could just go, no, crypto people, we're all in this together, right? And there are thousands of things, and there's thousands of tons of people and opinions, and it's not everyone. Not everyone's going to go to HEX.
Okay.
It hasn't happened. We haven't. They've had more adoption in a week than we've had in 2.5 years.
Okay, Blue, just calm down for a second. Let me work through this logically.
Fuck him up.
Regardless of
how many X's have they had?
No, hang on.
You don't get it for the price. It's a learning tool. It's got nothing to do with you don't invest in it.
Let Jensen fuck him up. Let's Jensen fuck him up.
I don't want to fuck you up. I just want to go through the steps and show you why I think it's fucking dumb.
Hell yes.
Right.
AKA fuck him up.
Okay, so the hardest bit of getting someone to do anything in crypto, and specifically use HEX, is they need ETH. So you're going through all the effort of getting someone to get to a centralized exchange or wherever.
No, he's already got the ETH. He's already got the ETH on the exchange. Are we talking about this situation, or are you making up another situation?
No. Let me just go through the steps involved and show you why I think it's better getting them to do HEX or Zen. So initially, you need some ETH in a wallet so you can buy HEX or Zen or mint Zen. So you've got to get ETH there. So let's assume that part of the process is going to be the same no matter who you're dealing with. Let's take that out of the equation. Okay, so you've got ETH in a wallet now. You've got to do something with it. So to operate Zen, what do they need? Well, they're probably going to need MetaMask or something. So that's no different to bloody using HEX. They're going to have to learn how to connect it to a smart contract. Well, shit, that's no different to connecting to the HEX front end or to Uniswap. The only difference is a couple of buttons you push, whether it's a mint button or a buy button. The steps are the same. So I think this onboarding narrative is bullshit. No coiners.
Yeah, but in this situation, this is a guy who he wants to have long-term savings, but he doesn't have it. It's a very different financial system, a scenario. He bought $100 worth in ETH, whatever, a year or two ago, and he's just left it on the exchange. What my thing is I want to get him to actually get control of that. That's the most important thing for me. Yep. That's my first step for him. Get him to securely control, use his MetaMask, right? Once that happens, look, I'll have a conversation with him. I'll give him the options, and if he has actual more fiat money that he wants to bring in to put into something, then I'll recommend HEX. But for $100 of Ethereum, I won't recommend HEX to him because most of it will be eaten up with fees and staking.
Maxi, but you've got options.
Yeah. Maybe I do that, but that's not really. That's I could do. Yeah, that's. But even so, how much? You still even if you're swapping into Maxi, you still got to pay that the Uniswap fee. And it's I'd rather the absolute cheapest, lowest bar for this person.
Yeah, it comes at a cost, though, mate.
It's only like a transaction cost. That's the cost to learn how to use it. And he's the kind of person I can tell who will learn by doing, not by.
Hey, Bluey, we've been banging on about this for 10 minutes and we're not getting anywhere. All right.
I just want
we know that
my only
like
point.
This, and in full disclosure, I went in and I did the mint of the Zen.
So did I. I think we've all done it.
Yep. But I wish I hadn't, because it was a waste of my time. I clicked buttons for no, and I wasted gas for no fucking reason. I would never tell someone to go do it. I really wouldn't. And look, say what you like about the contract. The contract apparently is immutable or whatever. It's a good, but I'm not going to send people who could potentially make a choice between getting into HEX or that one away from HEX. Is like most definitely the right way, or one of its derivatives.
But this is the problem.
One of its derivatives.
Hang on, this is the problem. It's this tribalist shit. It's not a choice between this or this. There are tens of thousands of these fucking things, right?
Well,
it's about
on this show there is no choice. On this show, there is one choice, and it's the HEX contract.
Are you going to censor me again?
No. You're not censoring you again. I'm not censoring you. You've been banging on about it for 10 minutes. Like we gave you a good go. Like
because I think it's such an opportunity. I think it's such an opportunity for Hexicans, and they're treating it in the opposite
to lose.
way.
How many X down is everyone who's gone?
Don't
and minted?
buy
How many
it. Fucking
X
that's
down?
easy as that. Just don't buy it. Don't recommend anyone buying it.
But
No
you're
one's
down
recommending
on the
buying
cost
it.
of your transaction.
I haven't heard anyone recommend buying it.
Okay, so
How do you know how the future is going to play?
I'm going to make one comment. It's not actually. It's like it kind of is related, peripherally related. Maybe it's related. You decide. The Bitcoin maxis were right when they said, "Fuck the kumbaya shit. It doesn't work." Because then you end up and so I'm not making a comment about any specific projects here. I'm not saying shit is or isn't a scam, but I agree with the Bitcoin maxis that kumbaya shit doesn't work, because then you get scammers in your fucking shit, and then it's like, oh, but we're all on the same team. It's all crypto. No, it's not. So now I'm a HEX maxi. Everything except HEX can suck my dick, and it's and the only thing, like, I'm not arguing with or for or against any of the shit that you guys are discussing specifically, but I am firmly stating that the kumbaya shit doesn't work. I'm with Tone Vase on that shit. Kumbaya shit is a high risk.
I'm less in that maxi camp, and I know I've been banging on about buying HEX now, but the reason why I'm doing it is not because it's against Zen. What I'm saying is the process of getting someone in is relatively the same. The steps are almost the same, maybe one or two minor things. So I think this narrative of onboarding noobs or no coiners, I think it's bullshit. Now, to your point, hang on. No. How many of those are no coiners? Fuck all. So, but as a community outreach, hang on, let me finish. As a community outreach kind of thing, and can Hexicans speak to other people in the Zen groups? Yeah, sure. But they're not no coiners. These guys are already in. So it's not like you're attracting new people from outside. This is already the crypto world. So to say that it's really great for this onboarding tool for no coiners is not proven. That's my point. Now, I'm not saying we don't engage with other communities, because I think you're right, Bluey. I think you've got to. Like, if you don't build those bridges, like Nerdkel says, then it doesn't do anyone any favors. We are on the same team in some regard. Now, I know Tangent's got a little bit of a different view on that.
You don't have to convince people.
I'm gonna blow those bridges up.
Shit.
I'm gonna blow those bridges up. I'm a HEX maxi for life.
I don't think you need to like verbally convince someone that HEX is good. I mean, that's what we do every week we try and do every week on this show, right? But I don't think you need to do that. I think you just need to show people the history, and let's see what happens in the next bull run. Hey,
yes,
the next bull run, this shit could be off the hook, man, completely off the hook.
Wait, thank you for reminding me. That was my other point. I think, and I'm not saying everyone has to adhere to this rule, but I think for myself, I've decided I'm going to shut the fuck up about things until there's been at least enough time for me to be fairly sure that the shit is not a scam, going to zero, has negative intentions, unethical, any of those things. So sure, that might mean that you miss being as early, but it means you're gonna like rule out 99.999% of the shit that's just fucked and going to zero. So I personally think it's a better approach to not go like promoting some non-hex shit early before it has proven itself to not be those things that we would consider to be bad. Like that, and there's various categories, right, of those things.
I don't want Bluey to be upset.
I think Bluey's. Yeah.
Oh, no,
I'm not trying to attack Bluey. I
wasn't upset. No, I'm not
trying to attack Bluey. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I respect Bluey's opinion. I really do. But I just want to bring everyone back to the point. This is called the HEX Late Show, right?
Yeah.
So and we can talk about derivatives of HEX, like Maxi, Hadron, things to do with HEX. That's what we talk about here. And then when it comes to stuff that doesn't have to do with HEX, like we gave it a little bit of a go, man, but very limited. Like very limited. Like we don't.
It's obviously it's been a big topic in the community, so it's. Yeah.
I'm gonna gaslight the shit out of everyone. Nothing except all the other projects, they don't exist. HEX is the only shit. All right, that's the reality. That's the reality that you now live in. Those other projects don't exist. It's HEX only.
Yeah, but you still believe in Bitcoin, man. Like,
shut up. Do you know you're the first? Wait, you are actually the first person to pull me up on that. Because I've been on Twitter in HEX Maxi mode, and I've been enjoying it because I genuinely think it is an excellent time to be a HEX Maxi. Don't worry about the price. Don't worry about whether it's a bottom or not. Right now, people who are like HEX Maxi are going to look like geniuses in not too long from now, right? It's easy genius status that you can achieve. You can forge genius status for yourself in several months by being a HEX Maxi right now. It's that fucking simple, right?
And HEX has been around for 3 years. Almost 3 years.
Not a single person, when I've been doing like HEX Maxi tweets and shit, which is legit, I'm being HEX Maxi at the moment, has pulled me up and been like, bro, what about Bitcoin? Not a single person until Bluey just said. Don't worry about it, Bluey, that shit's in cold storage. It doesn't exist. I'll gaslight my Bitcoin into not existing for now.
Yeah. You don't even know where your words are.
It comes back into existence when I pull it out of cold storage, then it exists again. So for now, it doesn't exist.
So HEX the HEX contract has been running for almost 3 years. When HEX came out, I believe Ethereum had been running for how long? 5 years?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Was it 14? 2014?
Oh, actually, yeah, it was. Yeah, because it's been running.
2014, so 6 years.
Richard said we're over halfway. We're over the half of life. Like we're
till now
over half the life.
Yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, 3 years is a long time in crypto. I mean, it's a long time in crypto, and I don't think we should ever deviate from the narrative that, hey, this shit's been working flawlessly for 3 years. And then as time goes on, like very soon, it's going to be 3.5, 4 years. And that's a long time in crypto, and shit's working.
It's dog years in crypto, bro. So HEX has actually been alive for like 21 years of human time. Legit. Oh yeah, I'll gaslight the blockchain if I have to, bro. I'll fucking gaslight the entire blockchain until people start acting right.
I like how you say it with a straight face.
I'll do it, bro. I'll fucking do it. But no, I have actually really enjoyed going full HEX Maxi on Twitter and other socials.
So we got Freddie quotes in the chat, and his comment is
love Freddie.
Not supporting a shitcoin makes you tribal. Laugh out loud, weak.
No, being like hating everyone who doesn't hold your beliefs makes you tribal.
Yeah, I don't hate everyone. I mean, me personally, I've got no problem. Do whatever you like. Just let's not talk about it here. That's all. Pretty straightforward, yeah. I would actively say, don't go do that. That's what I would say. Don't go out and do that. But anyway, let's pivot. Did anyone, speaking of gatekeeping, did anyone see the CoinMarketCap ranking where they ranked the most visited tokens? And out of the most visited tokens on that website, HEX was easily at number 1. Easily. So
do you not find interesting about that stat is most people in the HEX community probably don't even use CoinMarket.
Yeah, who goes to Coin?
I said that as well. As well. We actively, the HEX community actively doesn't use that site because of the fact that they kept us so hard. So all those views have to
and
be
it's a
from
shit
people
site.
who are
It's just a shit site as well.
Community. It's a shit site.
Yeah. How can you trust data? How can you trust any of their data?
Con market crap. What did Richard call it? Was it con market crap or something? You know, Richard on the Ivan on Tech interview, Richard gave it like a
so what were the? Do you remember what the other ones were? Like HEX was the most visited.
I think AVAX was above it at one point, but then HEX has bumped it.
Yeah, AVAX was up there. Bitcoin was up there. There was one that was like one I've never heard of. So don't repeat it, even if you do remember what it is, because it's almost certainly a scam. There was one up there that was just like, I've literally never seen that. And by the way, I've got a general policy. If a cryptocurrency short code is more than like 4 letters long, then that is a big red flag to me. It's like, bro, why do you need more than 4 letters to fucking ticker your shit? Like, come on, bro, come on. The permutations become almost unlimited once you add that 4th letter. Just chill the fuck out. So
a bit harsh, mate. A bit harsh.
Okay. So there's Lucky might be one that I'll allow as an exception. But have you got an example for me of one that's not?
So it would have been better if they called it Luck rather than Lucky?
Why not? Yeah, why not? You get the point across, right? LUCK could have been the ticker. Yep. If I'd been on like a decision-making board or something for them, I would have absolutely encouraged them to go that direction. Because luck is just as good, right? It's a full word. It's not like you're omitting vowels and shit to try and make the shit say what you want to say with less letters. Trios 4, Desi's 4, Base 4, Maxi 4. So it would have even kept it consistent in terms of like, you know, if I'm in a fucking spreadsheet or whatever, that shit's going to look all nice and tight. Now they've gone and fucked it up.
That's what it really is, isn't it?
I'm just playing. It's my OCD. It's my OCD. I'm like smashing computers and shit like that.
Luck is only 1 letter away from being fuck though. Whereas if it's
good,
lucky,
that's a benefit.
Great point.
Fuck token.
Sex sells.
Has anyone done a fuck token? I don't want to shill it.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Everything exists.
Yeah.
All the main words exist.
I can't even think of like a 5-letter or a 6-letter token.
Yes, and the reason is because you don't need to do that. Like, as in, it's 4. Even 4 is like starting to get
a bit much.
Yeah, like 4 is like kind of in that gray zone where I'm like, okay, I'm going to allow it, but I would have preferred it to have been 3. Like,
how many possible combinations of the 26 letters? Well, there's like 26 letters in the alphabet and 3 positions. Is that like 26 times 26 times 26?
Correct. Yeah, it's not factorial because you can reuse the same.
No, it's cubed. So 26 cubed.
Yep,
hey?
Exactly.
And that's how many possible options.
That's the permutations of for 26 times 26 times 26 is over 300 million. Over 300 million, I think. Wait.
No, it's
Maddie C 85. I wish, buddy. I wish.
26.
Oh no, sorry.
Coming soon.
It's only
coming soon to a chart near you.
Yeah, 17,000. So that's 17,576 possible combinations of 3 letters. We're going to run out pretty soon.
So yeah, well, there's thousands of coins already, isn't there? Like, there's literally thousands.
Yeah, there's over 10,000.
But not 17,000.
There's over 10,000. There's over 10,000 though.
Okay, so all the cryptos that have ever been created could have used 3-letter codes and been distinct. Plus, remember that people can just reuse the same code. There's nothing like.
But it'll run out. It'll run out soon.
If you think that your project is going to dominate hard over someone's taken the ticker, but their project just basically failed and has no adoption, no one knows what the fuck it is, you can take their code and use it and become the like. So I'm trying to think if there's an example of that. There are examples where like someone took a code early, but the project didn't blow up. And then someone comes along with a project and they're like, I'm going to just use that same ticker. And then they just dominate. Because it's social consensus as well, right? It's not like it's not like there's a database somewhere that gets maintained where once you take it, you can't overtake it. It's not the stock market.
Yeah. Now you go into Etherscan and type in a ticker, and you'll see there's half a dozen of the same ones there.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah.
So while we're on Desi and Maxi and all that, what's your thoughts on Desi and how that's gone? I think
it's at a bit of a premium now, is it? It's still. Oh, it's gone down, has it?
It's actually trading. It's trading close to NAV.
Close to NAV. That kind of makes sense to me because everyone probably went in there thinking that they'd be able to pull a quick 20%, and so obviously, as soon as people start pulling out, they are. So that's.
I think everyone thought it was going to do a Maxi, and have a massive premium, and it's doing what it's designed to do.
I actually didn't go. Yeah, I actually didn't go into any of the pools. I actually doubled down on Maxi. I doubled down on Maxi and Hadron. Yeah.
I thought you were the biggest bull out of all of us on those.
I thought they were a good option. No, I thought they were a good option for certain people in certain situations. But with a HEX ladder coming out, where you've got HEX coming out every whatever.
Wait, what's that?
I just thought
HEX ladder.
Yeah, like because if you've got a HEX ladder that's already 15 years, so you've regularly got HEX coming out.
You're saying it's kind of personally already have a ladder. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't feel for I just felt that that Maxi was the best value proposition in that whole deal. And so
even
I just
at kind of premium.
It went down to 1. I didn't buy it 2.2, but
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I think it went down to 1.7 again and kind of hung around there. And even at 1.7, I think that's the lowest you're probably going to get, unless you happen to get lucky and come in when a whale dumps the price down a little bit, and you can maybe pick
guys. All right, I'm launching my own coin. It's called HEX. You buy it, you do whatever the fuck you want with it. You create the ladders that you want. It's gonna be fucking incredible. It's called HEX. You just buy it and do whatever the fuck you want with it. That's it. And it's the same contract address as the actual HEX. How's that sound? Are you guys gonna FOMO into my fucking coin idea?
Well, it depends how many letters is it? What's the
link, bro? Send me the
link. 3 letters. Bro, I follow my own rules. Of course, I follow my own rules.
I'm in.
Hey, so the Maximus crew who make contracts to save people gas when they're buying into the HEX ecosystem, you're buying a derivative of the HEX token. You're buying a derivative of the HEX stake. You're not actually doing it firsthand yourself. Yeah. So in doing that, there are some drawbacks. So in my opinion, you're less likely to get like airdrops and things like that if you're going to go into those tokens. Mm-hmm. But if you're buying a very small amount, it might be worth your while going into those tokens because of just the fees are so much less just to start stake and you don't have to start and then stake and do all of that. So small players, I think, is a good idea.
Like you super excited about. There's potential for speculation on those tokens as well. That the premium could increase over time. So it's like there's another layer of the fact that you could speculate on the change in premium. Especially if you just said that Desi is at basically net asset value, then it theoretically can only go up from a speculative standpoint in terms of creating a premium above that, and you could play that premium as an additional thing, that i.e. you're holding something that could go up more than what you're expecting it to. Yeah.
Now, while we're on the Maximus group of tokens and stuff, so let's have a chat about Poly. So we're about just under 4 weeks out from Hadron HSI auctions. What are HSI auctions? HSIs are HEX stakes. They're just individual HEX stakes in the form of an NFT. And they are going to be, are they in the form of an NFT? Are they tokenized?
Yes.
Bluey, do you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Are they tokenized at that point?
Okay.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So
if you receive it, if you buy it, you'll have to detokenize to be able to do anything.
So what's going to happen on the 13th or 14th of November is all these HSIs are going up for auction, and you can only buy them with Hadron, which you get for free. This is what's like interesting about that whole ecosystem. You get the Hadron for free when you've made stakes, like HEX stakes, right? So if you've got a native HEX stake that you just did through the HEX contract, every day that passes, you get free Hadron, which you can mint, right? Now, it's probably not worth minting that every day. You probably need to wait a period of time to accumulate, a number of days and then mint, and then you'll have a nice little bag of Hadron. But these HSIs, you can bid for them using that Hadron. So, Bluey, I'm interested to get your perspective. How are we going with that? Have you been keeping a close eye on how they're going with that poly contract?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's a fantastic idea. The only, I'd say, concern I have is that, and I'll just quickly describe it. Basically, you put Hadron into their contract, you get back poly. Then they're going to, and I'm not exactly sure on how they're going to do this, but they're going to get an executor. And that executor is going to be the person who bids on the various auctions to try to win the HSIs. And that's a bit part of trust. That's the part of it which is like, you have to trust this executive to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, let's say the only
this is different than what we're used to.
The only way the executor could fuck everyone up is if they completely overbid for one HSI. And so let's say a whole lot of people put in a whole lot of Hadron and they just way overpay. So, but I can't really see that happening. Like, I imagine
they can only vandalize, they can't steal. They can vandalize, they can't steal.
If they don't do anything, then the Hadron just stays there. And I think what they're planning on now is, I'm not sure if they're gonna say there'll be a period of time where you can just redeem it, or they're just going to stake it then, and it basically becomes a massive Hadron stake. So they're going to get all of this Hadron. With some of that Hadron, they're going to buy HSIs. If anything's left over, they're going to stake it for the full 15 years. You have, similar to a Maxi token, is you have the ability to redeem whatever's in that pot at the end of the 15 years, or you can sell it along the way if people want to buy it, and there'll be premium and all that kind of stuff.
You don't have to go into poly, do you? You could just go and bid on these HSIs yourself.
Just do yourself. Yeah, just do it yourself.
And you know what? I believe there's over 6,000 HSIs that you can bid on. I don't know what's going to happen at all, but there might be some bargains. There might be some bargains out there. I don't know. You
know what I think? What I was thinking? I was thinking
spend your Hadron.
I was thinking on the ETH-W and the ETH Fair, because I'm not going to bother. I probably won't bother with those, with the HSIs. I mean, maybe I should. I don't know. I haven't really done much on those chains. I've just kind of provided liquidity and just left it. But like, that could be, like, as if everyone's all concentrating on the ETH stuff, there could be some awesome bargains on those other chains, maybe. And if you're just using that free copies that you have from over there, maybe not a bad tactic.
Yeah, it's a pretty low risk strategy.
Yeah.
So people are going to get their hands onto some. They're going to get their hands on some HSIs. So they're going to have HEX stakes in the form of HSI or NFT. What happens to that Hadron that they bid on? What happens to that, Bluey?
It gets burnt. It gets burnt. And if you are staking ICOSA, if you're staking Hadron as well, either of them, the way it works out how much is distributed each day is based on how much Hadron is burnt that day. So if there's a lot of Hadron burnt that day, there's going to be a big payouts. So not only do these auctions, like all of that Hadron's getting burnt, but then all of that burnt ends up being other economic payouts for ICOSA stakers.
So I think 50% gets burnt. The other 50% goes to the ICOSA stakers, doesn't it?
No. It all gets burnt, but then the ICOSA contract looks at how much was burnt that day, and he uses that in the formula of working out how much
it has to pay back what's owed on the HSI first before it gets burnt. The HSI has
well, that happens in the the way it works.
Bid pays that.
Hang on. The way it works is like the very first bid pays off that loan, the very first, and that is what sends it to the auction. So it can't go to auction without being paid off, and that's then taken care of.
This question from Dougie: how do I tokenize my HEX stake? If it's a legacy HEX stake that's been done through go.hex.com, you can't tokenize that. If it's a stake that's been, it needs to be a HSI stake, which is essentially a standalone stake that you do it's just one stake that you do through the Hadron through the Hadron contract. And then what that front end allows you to do is tokenize that stake into an NFT, and then you'd be able to transfer it or sell it.
ICOSA front end.
Okay, ICOSA front end, yeah.
And yeah. Sorry,
Louis, that just on that Hadron burning, a portion that mustn't get burnt because it goes to the people staking ICOSA.
They
get paid.
No. Yeah, they got paid when the actual stake was sent in. So when somebody makes an HSI and sends it to the ICOSA contract, the ICOSA contract automatically takes the full borrow out against that, and that pays that Hadron to their ICOSA stakers.
Right. Okay.
And then 90 days later, it's up for auction, and the very first person to come in and pay off that borrow, that triggers the auction. So that's
okay. So then that full whack of Hadron is then burnt.
Yeah, because what happens is that first amount of Hadron is burnt, and then someone comes in and they have an amount that's more than the last person. The first person gets paid back what they paid, and so there's a little bit extra. Then the next person comes in and making their bid, they pay off that second person, and then there's a little bit left over, and that just keeps happening until it ends up being the total price of that stake was burnt.
So there's going to be a lot of activity on the 13th of November then.
Yeah, and for people also, don't try to look at them on the Hadron DApp at the moment. There's too many of them, and it's way too much data. And Alex is building out the ICOSA app so that they'll be ready in time for the auctions. If you
nothing like having a gun to your head.
Yeah. I think he's super busy. Hey, we hardly see him, and he's really hard to get in contact with. I think he's just like head down, bum up. Yeah. He's also like building a fucking data center. He's been dealing with like contractors. He's building his own data center so that he can run these. I wonder how that'll affect people like that though, who wanted to be pulse validators and like put a whole lot of money into these systems.
Well, I don't know. I know a few people geared up. I don't know whether they actually went and brought a lot of hardware, because some of the hardware was pretty pricey. Like you're talking 50, 60 grand. Servers.
I'm pretty sure that many did, in terms of just to be able to run validators on the testnet. Like people that were running validators on the testnet were running with their real shit,
Yeah, they should just spin up a Minecraft server and chill.
Hey, can I give you my pros and cons? Like, so I'm with 43 already mentioned mine that there is an element of like not like that's outside of like my strictest crypto ethics in terms of like, once you've got a human involved, then it's like that is breaking my shit a little bit. However, the thing that I really like about it is I value my time highly. I don't want to have to sit there, A, doing calculations, B, being awake and at a computer at the time that the auctions are happening and all that shit. I love the idea that I can just throw my Hadron at someone else relatively trustlessly in terms of that they can't just steal my Hadron. And that, yeah, sure, there is a human involved in that process that it would be great if you could eliminate that element as well. But so when I weigh it up for me personally with that pro and con, right? Like saves your time and you don't have to think. But then it's not like pure crypto shit. For me, it leans to the yes. And I like it. I'm going to get involved in it.
And I think most people will have. I think most people will think exactly the same. They'll see all of these thousands and they'll be overwhelmed. And there's this option to just give your Hadron to somebody and have them deal with it.
Yeah.
They will do
autopilot.
That.
Autopilot. Just have it.
And I think they're going to get a ton of Hadron, especially because all the excess Hadron. Like even if it was just Hadron and you'd put that out into a 15-year stake, and then have this like the other token that was able to redeem for it, so you could swap it along the way.
So it'll be a good thing. So it's got the potential to remove a lot of Hadron off market if it's bidding on the auctions.
Mm-hmm.
B, if it can't get it all fulfilled, then it'll get locked away potentially in a stake. So that's good, removing it off market. Is it a one-time event they're doing for this, or is it something that's supposed to be sustainable? That's where
I think it's just a one-time event.
Yeah, I was going to say
they were considering having it as an ongoing thing, but I think that just makes it way too tricky with the executor and Oracle kind of thing,
Yeah, and I think just if everyone keeps sending in more Hadron to this contract, and it's got a big pool, but there's not the volume of stakes there to bid on, auctions to bid on. What do you do? Like you run out of stuff to bid on. So there, I don't know enough about it. I haven't really looked into it. I wasn't sure whether it was a one-time event or not.
Yeah, I think it'll be like a 2-week. Well, they're probably will be even shorter. Probably it'll be like a 1-week period, and you could just put your Hadron and get your poly, and then it'll be cut off. You can't send any more to it.
All right. So chat's saying it's a one-time event. Yeah.
Is there a HEX chart anywhere? I haven't seen one in a while.
You got any TA for us, Tangent?
Only massive green lines that go straight to the moon. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Let me just. We're talking.
HEX. Sorry, Hadron. Hadron is. Let's look at Hadron.
Hadron's been pumping, man.
Hadron's that's why I want to look at it.
Yeah, Hadron's been pumping like shit.
It had a bit of a dip, I think. Yeah. When I looked before,
just before we do that, we've got a question, a good question here in the chat. If you have an existing HEX staking ladder, but you want to add to it to fortify each year, for example, is it best to only make HSIs now? I don't think there's a one size fits all answer to this. It really depends on your particular situation. Whether you need flexibility of being able to move things around. What you have to bear in mind is with that flexibility of being able to move a stake out of a wallet address, which is what a HSI gives you, you also potentially lose on some of the airdrops that come out. Some airdrops that come out for HEX, you may not get that. So you have to weigh it up for yourself, and also the size of the stake, and how long it is as well. Does anyone want to add to that at all?
I'd say as a general rule, that like HSIs, the 15 Quattro Cinco HSIs are going to earn you the maximum amount of interest and the maximum amount of yield, and give you the flexibility to potentially sell earlier than the 15 years, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. So if you had to choose between doing a 15-year native stake or a 15-year HSI, I think 15-year HSI is the way to go, because you just have some more optionality in terms of an advance or selling back to the contract for a COSA like Bluey just mentioned. If you wanted something more flexible in terms of liquidity, then that's when you could probably look at a Desi or something like that. But with the Desi,
or Maxi, when it's if you find the premium, you manage to snap it up at like 1.7
I think,
or something.
Yeah, I couldn't advise anyone to go into Maxi at the premium.
Really?
To be honest.
But the thing is, if they wait just a few years, that premium will have to go up.
Yeah, but
what?
You'd be better. Yeah.
The premium has to go up.
No,
the premium has to go up. Well, okay, the premium.
No, it doesn't have to do anything. Like,
yeah, it does. Because in 15 years, the premium will be at a 5x.
That's not how.
5 or 6x.
No, that's not how premiums work.
Yes, it will.
Premiums
yes, it is.
No,
okay,
no,
I'm talking about.
No.
Yes,
no.
yes, tangent. Yes, tangent.
Okay, hang on. Let me mediate. Let me mediate.
It's just a terminology thing. That's all we're fucking doing.
Stop.
No,
stop.
No,
stop. I want everyone to stop for 1
up,
second. Okay. All right. Hang on. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Okay. We need these guys to talk, have a bit of time each to talk. Okay. So, Bluey, you go first, mate. We want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into it right now because are we about to end? Like have we got the other show coming up?
No.
How long do we have until the wake up?
We've got half an hour.
There's one other thing I want to mention before we.
I think Blue is the wrong term. I think he means underlying value has to go up.
No, I mean in terms of the HEX.
Hang on. Just
premium is not guaranteed to go up. Underlying goes up. Premium does not guarantee to go up.
This is my point, right? At the moment, like when you got into the contract, you get one maxi for one HEX. As time goes on and that stake earns Hadron and HEX, the value of it is going up. And so let's say at a year's time, it's actually worth 1.5 and whatever it's selling at, that it's 1.7 or what. But even if you buy it at 1.7, even if you buy it for a little bit extra than it's actually worth, you just have to wait and it will catch up.
Yes. So this actually highlights the mistake that Jimrat Crypto and others make when they like argue against me about premium and say that I was wrong and all this shit is because they don't understand the definition of premium. I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying using it incorrectly. The premium is the gap between the underlying value and what the price currently is. That's the premium. The premium is not measured against one HEX. It's measured against underlying value. And the reason that so many people make this mistake is because at the very start, those two things approximated each other. So many of us, including me, were using the chart and using against one HEX because at the time that was correct. But then those people who didn't actually understand what a premium is continued to use the chart against HEX to quote what the premium is, and they were
what
wrong.
What term do you use? Do you use net asset value or something?
Underlying value. Underlying
value.
Underlying value. It's effectively the calculatable value of what it should be worth as a minimum.
Yeah. So for that guy,
the premium is the gap from there up to whatever the current price is. So it's current price, underlying value, and then the premium is the gap between the two. And then one HEX is somewhere on a plot that's below that again. That's the mistake that a lot of people are making.
No, but the point is, right, is that guy who's got a HEX ladder and was thinking, well, shall I make an HSI? The maxi option, the maxi option is also like very valid. Just know that you'll be buying at a premium now and you'll have to wait until it catches up to its underlying value.
Yeah, you may have to wait for, the
problem you may have to wait for 14 and a half years.
The other problem is that because premium can be negative, i.e. a discount, by the time you wait for the underlying to catch up, by then it could be in a, that shit can fluctuate in a way, it could be in a discount. So you could wait all that time for it to catch up to what the premium is today. You've waited all that time and still could be actually at a loss. That's the thing that these guys don't realize who are constantly attacking me on Twitter being like, you were wrong about this shit. I wasn't wrong because I'm accurate with my language and I understand the definitions of these words and how the shit actually works. So I think I think you at least need to outline the assumptions of what you're saying. When you make a comment like that, like you can buy this now and eventually it will eventually the underlying value will come up and catch up to it. But that doesn't mean the price will necessarily be respecting that underlying value at the time that you require it to.
No, but if the price,
comment.
Yeah,
that's
but if the price isn't, then that's a great buying opportunity.
Not if it's in the wrong direction from what you want.
No, if it's a discount, you want to buy because if you
no, but you already bought it. If it's a discount, then you
buy more.
You already. Well,
you buy
then
more.
Your strategy, then your strategy would include that.
I think.
Yeah.
I think
exactly.
I've got a question. Yeah. I've got a question from the chat. Thanks for the super chat. Maxi, greater than Hex. Changed my mind.
It's the same.
Same shit.
It's the same. Yeah. All right. We've just been through that. All Maxi's doing is should be capturing the underlying NAV, and it just seems to be it's doing that with a premium at the moment. So, in my mind, you would be crazy to go and buy Maxi at that premium when you could go and buy Desi, get probably twice as many, and get a yield for 10 years that is the same. So
and that's not 15 years, that's 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed a result earlier than the Maxi result. Like worst case scenario.
I just didn't like.
So if the premium is not to your liking, but if the premium of Maxi or Desi is not to your liking, obviously Desi. When I say obviously, there's no Hadron component to Desi, but Desi would be the thing that you can realize earlier, like worst case scenario, if the premium is never to your liking.
I think anyone that holds Maxi or Desi is not holding it for the full term.
I agree with that.
You don't buy; they're not brought to hold for the full term.
It's the point of buying it so that you don't have to hold it for the full term. If you were going to hold it for the full term, then you just make a stake.
I can see myself.
I got a question for you.
It's almost like intrinsic to its value proposition and the reasoning as to why you would buy it. Although I guess saving on fees.
Yeah.
I got an interesting question for all three.
I agree with what Jackson said.
Guys, imagine the end stake party. That's going to be an epic end stake party. That's going to be so much fun.
That's what the
I'll sell just before everyone gets there. Is all right?
I just think the major disclaimer is people should be saying, look, the prices of these things can literally do anything. Shit can go to zero or to the moon. And we do need to factor in retards as well, right? So, so the retard factor is real. And so you actually don't, it's dangerous to make comments where you say, oh, look, if you buy it now and you just wait, then it'll eventually catch up, without also giving the additional assumption or the limitations of that. It's like, by the way, it might not actually play out like this because of these factors. So I think it's important to always list like your limitations and assumptions with any sort of commentary on any of these things.
And I come back to the airdrop point, because you are giving up airdrops when you go into these tokens. If you're giving up, and let's not like do that. Airdrops can be like Hadron, I guess, was an airdrop.
Yeah, but you don't. It's hard to predict how they're going to play out. So you don't want to like.
No, you can't. No, you can't predict, but you don't want to cut out the possibility of it either completely. So you make an educated decision what's right for you, but with
and then some come along
that you are missing out on airdrops moving forward.
And some airdrops come along.
That's Day 43's point. Day 43 is making that point that because of the unknowns, you are actually there's an unknown factor in there as well in terms of airdrops.
It works both ways, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't actively try to position yourself to get airdrops. I mean, what are you going to do?
No.
Like I might when all
it's a consideration though.
I made a few MetaMask ones and bought Hex via MetaMask. That hasn't come about at all. I mean, it still might happen. Hey, can I change the subject? I just want to bring up one more thing. This hexmarket.com has been released. It's live on Ethereum. This to me is like seeing email for the first time getting attachments. That's what I'm likening it to. Because you can create your own NFT and you can put any amount of other NFTs or any other ERC20s on them. Cool. Like as an attachment. I think that's just brilliant.
And
that's
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
As gifts, as like
what's the price? What's the cost?
Just the gas fees, you mean?
Do they take a commission, or is there a flat rate to do that? Like, why do they? Like,
they have a market where they sell NFTs, and so they take their 2.22% on that. And actually, you can stake Hadron at hexmarket.com and get part of that 2.22% fee. But
has it been audited?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's rapidinnovation.io. It's a company that. I mean, look, go and look at it. You go and everyone research it. I've played around on their testnet. I haven't made any NFTs on Ethereum yet, but it all worked great. And I think it's like super exciting. And I can see a future where our wallets look like that site. As in our wallets have like JPEGs representing what we have, visually, rather than just this kind of what we have now. I don't know.
I'll check it out.
Hey, are we still going to look at the Hadron chart?
Yeah, let's do it.
One sec. I just need to click back over to it. Where the fuck did I put it? Here. No, that's not it.
Yeah, click away from the pawn tab. Tangent.
Yeah. Wait.
Click away from that Zen tab.
No. So this is it. Yeah. So 43. You can share that now. So okay, I'm going to go through this quickly, right? So Hadron is actually pushing up close to its all-time high. So this red line here, or just above it, this line here, is the all-time high price in US dollar terms. So we're actually not that far below. I'll just do a little bit of a measurement. We are only about 30% below the pretty much all-time high close on daily chart. I've got this fib retracement tool here, and these green lines are the extensions of those fib retracement ratios, which have been, like you can see, they've been reasonably well respected. Actually, sorry, not that green line, but starting from this one and above, and the red one as well, are all the fib levels. So you can see like the respect that those levels have been given. We're actually coming up on one right now, right? This is looking strong. The other thing I wanted to measure for you guys was from the bottom. Anyone who bought this bottom is up 1,600, almost 1,700%. So that's huge. That's effing huge. And basically, I wouldn't be surprised. This is just personal opinion. I would not be surprised if we saw a buy the rumor, sell the news, like short term, in the short term sense, that leading up to Poly Maxi, that there's like a big run of Hadron price that could theoretically top out at the day or the day before of that actual event. So I think we've got room to move to the upside. And look, the TD count here on the daily is very bullish. Like that's the green 2 above a green 1 is always like super bullish. Let's look on the hourly. So we actually, look at that. We actually did get rejected by that line that I had put in there from the fibs. So we went up, clipped that fib, and got smacked down. But I think overall the posture is bullish for Hadron, and this run that happened basically over the last day or so has been incredibly bullish. I assume this is to do with all the chat about Poly and that sort, and the HSIs coming up and that sort of thing. Do you guys agree with that?
I think there's a bit of both. I think there was a round of profit taking just recently when it was come back off its all-time high, which was to be expected after a 15x run up.
It was like 17x. Yep.
So you're going to see a round of profit.
16x.
Yeah, so you'll get a round of profit taking. But I think it was heading in that direction, and I think it just needed a bit of a breather. So we've got that line. I've got a line marked on the 13th of November, and I haven't checked this for a long time, but there was a fair value, and I'll use that term loosely, a fair value for Hadron, which was, I think, 4 zeros and a 4. I think it was supposed to be 4 zeros, 4.8, I think, was the specific number.
Oh, really?
As a USD price?
Nice.
Yeah. How's that worked out?
I've done the maths before, and I I'd have to go back and have a look at it again now, but I've marked it on my chart, and that's still another 6 or 7x from where we are. Whether or not hey, not financial advice, may never ever get there.
So can I ask a question in relation to the HEX Hadron pair? If Hadron pumps and you've got like people with loads of Hadron who don't necessarily want or need to bid on HSIs, right? Not everyone needs to bid on HSIs. There are people out there, there's people, OGs out there that they're happy with how many stakes they have. They don't need any more, right? Or they don't feel like they need more. For people in that situation, do you think that if Hadron pumps, they might, against HEX, they might swap out of the Hadron into the HEX just to get more HEX bags?
Well, everyone's got their different plays, but yeah, I'm sure there'd be people.
I just looked at someone I was looking at on chain just after I saw that big dump, and I was looking at what people were doing, and someone was doing exactly that, swapping like Hadron's up, HEX is only a little bit up. He's putting it back into HEX.
Just playing the swing between those two.
I think it's good to have both.
When I worked out that fair value, I think it was based on the amount of borrowable Hadron versus how much the stake cost or something like that. I'd have to go back and
that value. That's the value where people are calling it a ceiling price, but it's a really bad term. It's the point where the Hadron that you can borrow on a stake is worth enough that you can actually buy that stake again. So you take that, you borrow.
So you're getting the same amount of able to, the value that you've put into it, you could extract.
But you know what? My theory is that's going to start happening before it hits that mark. Because imagine you've got a HEX stake and you've got 3/4 of the value there. You're just going to take the 3/4 of the value and just get a smaller stake. People will start doing that before it hits that kind of point.
Yeah. Because they don't lose the stake. They've just got to pay the advance back.
The Hadron back, And the other thing is that
Blue's been right about these sorts of things in terms of like bounding prices and shit like that.
And the other thing is that it's not a ceiling. Hadron can keep going up. People are incentivized to leverage up, and it's a very safe. It's probably the safest way you'll ever have to leverage up, if you ever wanted to, do that, because the percentage rate is super fixed and it's super low.
I think I said previously, I call these things like magnets or like gravity forces rather than actual like boundaries or ceilings or that sort of thing, because it's more that it's something that kind of like draws it to that price or level, not something
imagine
that necessarily
this. If the Hadron price gets to that level, and if it starts climbing above, there's going to be a downward pressure on Hadron in terms of people borrow the Hadron, swap it to HEX. So that's the Hadron price going down against HEX, and then that HEX gets locked up. But what that's doing is pulling the HEX price up. So at that point, that's when it gets really interesting, because it's like both prices we pulled up together.
Yeah, there's like soft forces between them, sort of thing. Yeah, same with Icosa. Yeah.
Guys, we're heading up to Wake Up HEX is going to be starting in about 10 minutes. So let's wind it up, because I know our wind-ups tend to be a little bit verbose. Let's start with Tangent.
So the thing I forgot to say about that chart before you pulled it down was higher highs, higher lows. If you want to just quickly pull it back up, you can see these white lines that I've drawn. So higher highs, higher lows. So I think that's bullish. That's great. The other thing I want to do is I want to shield something that's actually non-crypto as my sign out. There's this guy that makes these. Leave the screen up. There's this guy that makes these recycled bags where it's like he takes like the seats of cars or the seats of planes. This one's been taken from a plane seat. So it's like the seat of a seat from an existing plane, and he's recycled it into a bag. And he's got other stuff, like there's this bag here that was made out of a life vest. I think these things are pretty cool for anyone who's like, if you're traveling, then it kind of has, there's another one here that was made. Like, I think this guy's shit's pretty cool. And like the prices are actually very reasonable for how, so they're very unique. They're, you know how like in crypto we have this scarcity, scarcity mindset about like if something's scarce.
They're NFTs.
Someone put bag smells like ass. Because it's like either a car seat or an airplane seat. But anyway, the point is, that's hilarious. The point is that I think that this guy's stuff, for what he's doing, where he's like making an effort to recycle materials in a very cool and unique way that like stand out and stuff. I think it's worth, if you're a traveler or even if you're not, I think this guy's stuff is worth looking at. I think his pricing is like it's handmade in Canada. When you consider that and the fact that the stuff is like, it's not high production on a production line shit, I think his pricing is actually very reasonable. So for example, that bag's only 200 Canadian, etc. I do not know this guy, and I've got absolutely nothing to do with this guy. Like, it's completely unaffiliated from me. I bought a wallet that was made out of the seat from a Lamborghini, like an old Lamborghini, and I bought a bag that was made out of the seat of like an old like Ford Pinto or something. So I just thought I would mention it. I think it's pretty cool. The other thing I want to mention as my sign out, and this one's quick, is everyone's excited for the Highest of Stakes documentary, and many people may have forgotten that there's the other documentary, which is like the lesser known, lesser production budget of that guy, Tom Gillespie. I know that there's some people in the community that don't like him, think that he's got like various ill intention and whatever. But I just thought I would mention it to remember that we've actually got two docos to look forward to, the Highest of Stakes and the one which is like, I forget what the name of Tom's one was. It was like HEX, the time value of money, or something like that. So, and he thinks he's in post-production now, so that should be coming out at some point as well.
Cool.
That's me. You guys go.
Yeah, what can I say? Look, there's so much going on at the moment. We've had free airdrops, free forks. We've got all the stuff going on with Hadron. This is probably one of the busiest bear markets I've ever been a part of. There's just been so much going on. Don't get distracted by the useless shit. You've got a lot of really good things in front of you that you can capitalize on here, especially with the Hadron Nocosa and all the other derivatives that are building on the system. Make the most of it. Enjoy it. Try to keep the drama down in the community. That'd be nice. We've got good things to focus on ahead of us. So, yeah.
Can I just jump in quickly? Just with the whole drama in the community thing. Do you know what I short circuits that completely is when like hot chicks in the community post pictures like in bikinis and stuff like that. So I think that all the women in the community need to think about how that helps everyone. Just
that helps morale.
It changes the focus. It helps morale so much. It changes the focus of like, you know, people getting shitty with each other when we got like, you know.
I thought you were going to say I thought you were going to school the guys and say like guys need to be a bit more respectful with the comments that they're making on their posts.
Bro.
We're going to up that. That's
not for me. That's not for me to say. I'm just pointing out what I see.
You're saying it's good for the community.
I'm saying it's good for the community.
Regulate your thirst. Regulate your thirstiness. When you're commenting on females' posts on Twitter, regulate your thirst. That is the. But yeah, I agree with you. Those posts are better than people like having arguments. That's for sure.
Sorry, Jex, did you finish up? We're going to have to wind it up pretty soon. Jex, did you?
Hey, JFK, is that one of those little backpacks things?
He made a hacky sack.
Yeah, no, I'm done, mate. I can't top JFK's comment.
I'll keep it quick. Yes, tons of stuff. I think it's super exciting at the moment being in this community. And one other thing is that we've all been working. There's a group of us working on the We Are All the SA artwork, and that is going to no expectations and all that, but that's probably going to be dropped imminently or soonish. And I just want to give a big shout out to all of the other artists who have been doing tons of work, and it looks, some of them look amazing. Like some of the skill level of our artists is absolutely off the chart. And I think it's going to be a huge variety of images, and that's it. That's all I'm.
Wait, sorry, when did you say that was?
Cool. I'm not going to give a date. We don't have a date, but we've finished. We've finished all of the images, and they're all uploaded. So just a bit of cleanup to do, and probably that will happen.
Cool, man. Cool. Okay, I want to big shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for your participation. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the questions as well. Yeah, make sure you click the thumbs up right now. Go click the thumbs up right now. And yeah, have a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode.